Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, friends. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're having a great day, a great start to the week here. And today we have a wonderful friend joining us here on Conversations with Dune and Friends. My name is Dune Nguyen. I will be inviting our guest to join us in just a couple minutes here. And we have a wonderful guest just from Edmonton area here. And I'm from Sherwood Park. And we're going to have about an hour and a bit to kind of chat about entrepreneurship and business and success and really all of the different things, personal branding, and really hopefully you'll find very productive and effective and helpful in whether it's COVID or not. Life moves on and we need to work at our goals. And so let me do a quick introduction here. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick introduction that will give you a good background for our guests here. So I'm going to bring in a video here and we're going to share that with you. And so with that, let's have a listen.
But I always say to myself, when you are in this position, adversity, always say to yourself, why are you in that position? And you have to say also what you're going to do about it.
That is Fong Chua interviewing Olympic champion Bruni Surin, the infamous business lawyer George Ross, and legendary voice actor Jim Cummings. Not too long ago, he was just an engineer who felt that he had so much more to give and offer. Focusing on adding value and impacting others, he has built relationships all over the world and has connected with and learned from some of the most successful people on earth.
I think anyone that has an opportunity to work with Fong is setting themselves on the right path to achieve greatness.
Fong has become a real estate investor and a business entrepreneur. He is a best-selling author of the book series Make More, Work Less. He is an MC, a performer, spoken to hundreds in the United States and Canada, and shared a stage with others, like Shark Tank's Kevin Harrington. Fong Chua has a passion for teaching youth and giving back to the community through workshops and charity events. Through his video series, Make More Mind Bites, Fong Chua has given keys to success, interviewed many successful individuals, and has motivated, inspired, and mentored many more online.
He has made me expandable. He has made me achieve my goals in a shorter period of time and allowed me to condense time frames. My book would not have happened this year if it wasn't for him.
As a coach in real estate, business, and speaking, he thrives to find that fire inside each one of us and guides you to succeed. Now get ready, because today is the day to unlock your potential. Please welcome Fong Chua.
All right. Well, that is fantastic. Everybody, please join me in welcoming our guest today, Mr. Fong Chua. Fong,
Hey.
how are you today, my friend?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for that.
That was fun, hey?
But I sometimes watch that video and I go, oh, wait, that's me. I have to go up on stage now. So it's still it still gives me the shakes and the adrenaline every time I watch that. So thank you very much for playing it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, for this hour here, friends, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about goals and business and entrepreneurship and branding and book writing and publishing and speaking and really the whole idea of really, as you said, maximizing your potential and really tapping into that potential. And tell us more about your background, my friend, before we get underway here with showing more videos and more photos and stories and just sentiments from you. Tell us more about your background, my friend.
Yeah, sure. So a quick story about myself. I was born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta, a very traditional Chinese family where I was taught to work hard, study hard, find a good job, and basically work at that job for the next 40 years of my life kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I did, got into engineering and became an engineer. So once I got that job as an engineer, I thought, oh, there's my life. My life is completely set. So after a while, being in Edmonton, Alberta, as lots of your guests would know, is that we're all based on oil and gas. And once oil and gas doesn't do well, then our economy just takes a big dive.
Yeah.
And during 2008, 2009 area, lots of our investments went down, our real estate went down, lots of that stuff just didn't work out very well. And I was told I was going to be laid off at a certain period of time. So then I kind of realized, you know what, I need to do something else for myself just in case stuff like this happens, diversify my skill sets. And that's when I picked up my very first Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And from there, you go into a seminar, a webinar, a conference. We signed up for a course and then learn more about real estate. And then from there, we put in our first offer. And that very first offer was scaring us completely. We were afraid that the offer would actually get accepted. So I kind of realized, you know what, I'm missing something else. And that missing link was having a coach that was there to guide me along, allow me to bounce ideas off of and make sure that what I'm doing is according to plan kind of thing. And so we got a coach. And from there, I accumulated more and more properties, did more and more investments, learned more about business. And then my next challenge from my coach was, hey, you should start writing some books. So because lots of people were asking me what I was doing, what I was getting into, and that conversation usually lasts 4 to 5 hours. And now I write that book, I give it to them and go, hey, read this first, let me know what you're interested in, and then we can really zero in on what you want to achieve. So then wrote one book, and one book led to 2, and then 4, 5, and I'm actually working on our 6th and 7th book right now. And then after doing that, I was told to, hey, why not try speaking on stages? So got into speaking, and then from there got into more of a coaching element where I'm working with people one-on-one, helping them unlock their potentials, and then started a podcast and a YouTube channel and talking to you. So that's a very short and sweet little summary as to how I got to where I am today and why I'm on this podcast with you.
Yeah, well, wonderful. You have made a very effective and quick transition to essentially in the direction of your dream, and we'll hear more about that. But thank you for sharing that, Fong, and much appreciated.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I noticed that you shared the advertising photo again rather than the video, but no big deal. I can comment in there. But in terms of the work that you currently do, tell me, how has COVID affected your business and I know you and your wife are working fairly closely together on some of your projects and whatnot. You have your different kind of areas that you're focusing on, but tell us, how has COVID affected you guys?
Well, one thing with regards to COVID was that it really opened up my mind to accepting change and accepting different ways of doing things that I normally would do. How I like to see things is I like to see how you can change certain things into an opportunity more so than, okay, what am I going to do? This all sucks and this isn't going to work well. I try to find out, okay, how do I take this and maximize its opportunities to make it work for everybody else kind of thing. And one thing that it really changed my mind was the whole concept on doing Zoom calls or Skype calls and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, I've always thought that, you know what, in order for me to be successful and in order for me to connect with my clients, I need to talk to them one-on-one, face-to-face, to really feel that energy. Well, I kind of went away from Zoom and Skype and all that kind of stuff because I didn't think I would get the same results. Well, Zoom, COVID hit, and then all of a sudden now I'm talking to people on Zoom all the time. In fact, during this period of time, I started up my podcast. I started up a whole bunch of courses, connected to people in Hong Kong and in South Africa. It's been a big change, and it's all these changes is for the better. And that's really what I've been doing so far. I've been challenging people to jump out of their comfort zones, make this opportunity count, and go and achieve more during these trying times than you've ever achieved before.
In other words, it sounds like even you have sort of underestimated the power of the technology, whether it's Zoom or whatever have you, because again, we were comfortable in what we were doing, and face-to-face was precious and awesome and wonderful. But now that you're forced into this needing to do remotely, what I'm hearing is that you actually found it to be expanding your network and expanding your client base, and it actually removed the limitation that was there before,
Yeah,
as
for sure.
comfortable as face-to-face was.
Yeah. And in fact, right now I love it because like I'm able to talk to people all overseas, and I never dreamed of having a client in South Africa, and it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you sort of broaden your horizon, and maybe we get to be a smaller fish in a bigger sea.
Well, it's always good because there's only room to grow then, right?
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, and best of luck to you and your wife and your continued entrepreneurship. I mean, I look at the your website and the materials that you have, and I'm quite impressed with the speed of which you really develop your I'm going to say second career, because really your first career was engineering, as you said, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure the engineering mind continues to serve you guys well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like for instance, when I'm in this realm of entrepreneurship and business, it's a completely different type of mindset. You're not sitting there doing calculations all day, but you're doing a lot of relationship building, a lot of connections with different people, finding how you can add value to other people all the time. But what it's also allowed me to do is, because I have that engineering mindset, I do have that attention to detail. I can crunch out numbers. I can look at a business proposal or a real estate deal and go, you know what, this is going to work. But on top of that, I'm able to connect with the left brainers, the engineers and accountants more, because I could speak their language and then go, hey, if I could do this, you could do this too. I'll show you how. I could speak it in a way so that they go, you know what, it makes sense to them because they understand that language that I can speak to them in. So it's a lot more fun, and being able to open up the horizons for traditional engineers to think of different different types of income or paths is a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, because if I dare say, you think about engineering, you think about physics and systems and things that work together, and really that's how life also works. So your critical thinking in engineering, if you want to apply to business or entrepreneurship, is very compatible. It's not like you need a different kind of mindset altogether. It's just you just need to focus on different purpose, I guess, if you will.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like being able to expand your knowledge in different aspects of things, and then applying it to different solutions has really helped out, instead of just applying it to engineering solutions.
Yeah. So really, the same thinking process, the same thinking brain cells, it's just to a different product, if you will.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool. So tell us, you got into real estate. You told the story about how that first deal there. Obviously, since then you made many deals, and tell us a bit about how you even become a little bit of kind of I don't want to say a lender, but somebody who actually able to support other people with funding and whatnot. Do you have a story behind that to share with our viewers?
Well, yeah. So during that period of time where I'm learning a lot about different businesses, different industries, one thing I actually found out more about was the insurance industry, and how you can buy a certain type of insurance and basically have that work for you when you're still living. It turns out to be more of a banking situation for yourself. You could start lending out money based on how you set up that insurance. And how this ties back to real estate is, because I was so engaged into real estate, I had a few people coming up to me and go, well, actually, one of our clients came up to me and goes, you know what, I really want to buy our first home. I think it's going to take maybe three to 5 years based on what we're budgeting. And what should we do to start out that process? Well, for us, we looked through their situation, looked at their numbers, looked at their income and what they can afford, and go, you know what, you're only short 10, 15 grand, and you could buy a place right now. In fact, we'll connect you to our mortgage broker and to confirm that you can buy a place right now. And let's just get this process started. Well, within a month or so, I think we looked at maybe 3 or 4 properties. We found the perfect place for her. It had a basement suite in it, so they could find a roommate. So they offset some of their costs per month. But that lacking of, let's say, $15,000, we actually accessed the cash value from our life insurance policy, lent it to them as a second lender, and allowed them to buy the place right away. So nice. That's how we were able to diversify our skill sets and combine different types of knowledge that we have from different industries and put it all together.
Wonderful, wonderful. So if I was to ask you how you describe yourself to somebody who perhaps have not met you, and if you kind of put it in a little box, what might that sound like in terms of how do you introduce yourself to somebody who you just met? I don't know, out at a grocery store, somebody met you and say, here's my friend Fong. I'd like you to meet him, and then they ask, what do you do? What's your response to that?
Well, normally I help people unlock their potentials and find out what they're capable of doing. Whether it's opening up multiple streams of income, finding their passions, setting up and achieving goals. That's what I do all the time.
Right. Wonderful. So again, based on your story that you shared earlier and more stories that you share later, you have been through that journey yourself.
Yeah. It's a journey that was a lot of fun, but on top of it being a lot of fun, it was a lot of challenging times as well, because you're jumping into an industry or a world that you didn't grow up in. My parents weren't business people. I wasn't exposed to that type of mindset at all. So being in this whole realm allowed me to see that, hey, the world has so much more different opportunities that I didn't have any grasp on. So going through that, talking to different people, surrounding myself with people that I would like to either learn from, emulate, or actually become, has allowed me to do that. I think it was Zig Ziglar who says, surround yourself with the people that's around you to be the people that you want to be.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. What I'd like to do is share a quick video, maybe a portion of this video that really gives viewers a sense of what you do on stages around the world. Most probably a lot of North American stages so far. But I'm going to give maybe just a quick run of this longer video here. Tell us about this video here that talks about you speaking at MEGA, MEGA. Tell us about that before I roll the clip here, my friend.
Well, there was an opportunity to be able to speak at one of the biggest business and wealth conferences. It was in LA, and there was an attendance of about 2,400 people. And they have guest speakers there, like big name celebrities like Schwarzenegger and Al Pacino, who were keynote speakers at these events. And to be able to be on that stage as well and speak to a really good crowd, like a crowd that wants to achieve, wants to do business, wants to expand their horizons, has been a great experience. And being able to talk to all those people is one way that I've been able to use for a branding and credibility standpoint, because I no longer have to go out and shake everybody's hands. In fact, after you finish speaking, most of the people will come to you and go, hey, let's get a picture together, or let's talk about this, let's talk about that. So this video here is something that I've always dreamed to be able to speak at this stage. And when this happened, I made sure that I made the most of it, and I came up with an intro, which you may or may not see here. And that intro was something I've tested in a lot of different environments first before I brought it on the stage.
Cool. Well, thank you. I will roll it here, and we will listen to it here.
All the way from Edmonton, Canada, business strategist and real estate investor, Fong Chua.
Mega success. How are you? Are you feeling good? Right. Now, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and very excited. I have found that when you have great energy, a smile on your face, you will learn more and remember more. Do you agree? Great. Now, in some cultures, they actually apply this to their everyday lives. They wake up in the morning, they get their employees, their students, their clients to run around, do exercises, sing, chant, whatever it is, just to get their minds right. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to get you to run around, but I will get you to follow with me on this quick little cheer. Is that okay? Great. Over here in this section, when I point to you, shout out your proudest, loudest, he. Ready? He. He. Over here in middle section, give me your loudest, proudest, who. 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 And over here, you heard the he's and who's. Give me your loudest, proudest, ha. Okay, let's have some fun now. Awesome. Give yourselves all around applause. That was definite chills. Every time I do that, imagine that everybody here will wake up tomorrow morning and just go, hee, hoo, ha, and just get ready for the day in the next morning. Until one person came up to me and said, boy, that felt like a really intense Lamaze class. Not exactly what I was going for, but I see a lot of smiling faces, so mission accomplished. I was born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Woo. And a few years ago, I was just an engineer who really realized that eventually you become a number. And that's when I met JT Fox, and my life changed forever. Fast forward today, I'm a life and business strategist, and I love helping my clients unlock their potentials and become a champion. Because each and every single one of us, each and every single one of you, has a champion locked inside of you. And that champion is always fighting to come out. Whether you are a multimillionaire or a person who's just starting out, your potential is always unlimited. And therefore, your champion is forever evolving. So we have to try and let that champion come out. And 3 vital characteristics are persistency, our coachability, and our ability to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals. Persistency is number 1 because once you're persistent, you're able to create your own path. No matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it is, as long as you have your goals, your visions cemented in your mind, you never ever let that go. You push, you fight, and you persist. Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. Now, who here was at Mega Success last year? Let's hear it. What about family reunion? Mega Partnering 5. How about 2? Woo! Anita! My wife Jessica and I have been here since Mega Partnering 2. And every single time we come, we're pumped, we're motivated, we build relationships, and we meet new friends. But there always was something that I felt was missing. And then we see people like Paulie, who come up on stage. You gotta meet Paulie. He comes up on stage, and he wows the audience. He speaks, he MCs, and when he's done, he absolutely gets that huge round of applause because he's added so much value. And at that very moment, I told myself that one day, I'll be right here on this stage speaking at Mega Success. That moment, I made that decision. I got coached. I persisted. And as I persisted, every single one of those actions fell into place, create that path. For every coaching client I took on, for every deal I did, for every book we wrote, for every speaking engagement I did, I saw it as preparation, as experience, as confidence to this very moment, standing right here in front of all you at Mega Success. That is what persistency will get you. Persistency will help you lay those actions into place and allow you to make sure that each one of your actions leads you progress towards your goals and your visions. Now, I have said that once you make that decision, get coached on it, which leads us to number 2, coachability. We all have a message to share. In order to share that message, our voice needs to be heard. And that's what being coachable means. As you implement every single day, as you practice, you build those skill sets, you do the reps, you play the game, and your voice gets heard because you become a better leader. You become a better business person, and people start coming to you for advice and leadership. The first time I realized I had a voice was when I was writing my first book. Who wrote a book? Who's writing a book? Who's thinking about writing a book? Well, at that very moment, I asked myself, who am I to write a book? How do I write a book? Who is going to read my book? But that's when my coach told me, and what I've been telling all my clients now, that over the last 100...
But of course, we know you have written how many books, my friend?
I'm done 5 right now. Working
Wow.
on my 6th and 7th.
You're working on your 6th and 7th book.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell us, why do you write books? I mean, I know why, but maybe just share that with our viewers in terms of what motivated you to write your first book and what motivated you to continue to write what is your 6th and 7th one now?
Well, I find that writing a book is, first of all, the reason why I wrote the first book was to be a little bit more efficient. So that one, I don't have to spend the 3-4 hours chatting with somebody before I find out what they really want to be passionate in. So I have a book, let them kind of read it through and then find out what they really want to focus on. That also allows me to kind of screen my potential clients to see which ones are more engaging, and which ones are more serious, and which ones are not. So the book kind of gives me a way to screen and test as well. The other reason is for credibility. We know a lot of people who have written books and are seen as experts in their field, and that's because they wrote about it. They used the book as a platform to give them more credibility, more exposure, to go up on stages to speak, to either sell at events or to give away, and to add value. So that's another reason why I wrote a book. The other reason is to potentially use it as a gift or a free giveaway, or to add value to people who may or may not be able to work with me for whatever reason that is. And I could go, hey, you know what? Thank you for your time. Here's a book as a gift. Enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions. So writing the book is something that I find has helped me out in a lot of ways, from a credibility standpoint, from a time efficiency standpoint, and also from a add value standpoint. And the reason why I wrote so many is to keep myself relevant. So when it comes to after 2-3 years, I might have another book come out and have something else to talk about and announce and create an event over. It also gives me the credibility in different aspects. So for instance, I have the first book on different streams of income, different financial foundations that you can create for yourself. My most recent book was on communication. How do you use your body language, vocal variety, and all that kind of stuff to become an effective communicator? So it kind of sets me up as a different type of an expert in different fields when I have a book on those. So that's why I recommend people to write books, because it allows them to share their message, share their story, and connect with people who are trying to get more information or learn from them. So it's one of those things I highly encourage people to do for credibility and exposure.
Yeah. Wonderful. What strikes me is that you're a man of action. You have goals and dreams and directions, and you're learning along the way, but always taking action towards the right direction there. And I think, in all of that you do, you're just really trying to kind of squeeze the juice out of the work that you do, right?
Yeah, I believe in being congruent when you're doing things. How do you maximize your time? How do you maximize your actions? And a great example of that is my podcast. Mm-hmm. So I was challenged to do a podcast during this COVID time, and I started a podcast, and I was thinking, how do I do 3-4 things all at once? Mm-hmm. Well, to do that, what I did was I started video recording some interviews I did, and that became videos for my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. But then if I extract the audio, I could take that content and becomes my podcast content. Well, if I structure it a little bit more, I could extract the audio and make it into a transcription, put it together and put it into a book, and I could have another book come out. So I'm actually doing 3-4 things with one action. So that's what I coach a lot of my clients with, is how do you structure and be strategic with your actions so that you don't have to waste so much time.
Good, powerful thoughts there, and certainly not just a theory. You live it, and you act on it, and so it's always good to hear from somebody who's living the principles that they're talking about, right? I see. How many video interviews have you done so far, my friend? You just started fairly recently on that track, and you're doing every week, I think, and then you have many different things going. But tell us a bit more about that series, which I believe we have the links on there for our viewers out there. There's a lot. You have all kinds of resources for people, whether it's the yourAREATV link there, that's in the advertising poster and in the video, whether it's the success potential, was it the Peak Potential Success show that you have? Tell us a bit about that show, my friend, the Peak Potential Success show podcast.
Yeah, so the reason why I came up with the Peak Potential Success show is because I find that a lot of people are stuck somewhere. They're either not taking the action because they're telling themselves that they don't have the knowledge, or they don't have the connection, or they don't have that little tidbit that allows them to go, you know what, let's push on with this. And that's why I started this show, because I wanted to be able to add value to all these people and go, you know what, listen to the show, and there might be an interview that really piques your interest and gives you that drive to achieve different things. And that's why I interview so many different people and from different genres and different industries, so that they can relate to either a person who's a musician, or a person who's an Olympic champion, or a person who's making multi-million dollars at the age of 23. And that's because they all attract different types of people. But in the core of it is your mindset, your ability to jump out of your comfort zone, and having that support around you and pushing you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So that's the premise of that show. I have a lot of very interesting guests. You asked the question, how many people I've interviewed so far? Well, for the Peak Potential Success Show, I'm at about 30 some now. And there's more and more coming. And then prior to starting my podcast, I had the Make More Mind Bites series that's been going on for about 2-3 years now. And there's been a few interviews in those just to get that going. But I kind of alluded before that you can do two, 3 things all at once to finish by doing one action. Well, there's a series of videos in my Make More Mind Bites series where 6 of those interviews became 6 chapters of my most recent communications book. And that's why I did those interviews, so that I could get some content for that book. And so that's why I have little tidbits of information from the Make More Mind Bites series, and then also some longer interviews with the Peak Potential Success Show.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at this here, my friend. I'm going to bring it in, and it's just a little clip here from your series there. I'm going to go ahead and feature it here, and let's take a quick look.
Yeah, so this is a interview with Bruni Sirin.
Yeah.
I've watched them run the 1996 Olympic gold medal run for the Canadian relay team. And he was one of my idols when I was growing up, and watching him do track was amazing. What happened was we were at this one event, and I stood in line getting registered and whatnot. And I saw this guy walk by. I'm like, hey, I know this guy. I think could it be? And I turned around, tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, are you? And he goes, yes, I am. I'm like, oh, great. Started chatting and go, you know what? I would love to be able to have a quick 2-3 questions with you and kind of pick your brain, get to know you a little bit more. And would you be okay with that? And he goes, yeah, sure. Why not? So it was a great start of a relationship that we started chatting, and it was a lot of fun. Met him again a few more times after that, and got some more pictures with him, and got to touch his gold medal. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's take a listen.
Hi, this is Fong Chua for another Make More Mind Bites. Today, I am very, very honored to be with a childhood idol, Olympic gold medalist, Bruni Sirin. Thank you very much for doing this with me.
It's a pleasure.
Great. Now, I just really want to know, how did it feel when you had hundreds of thousands of people, the whole country, chanting, go, 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 win the gold for Canada? How did that feel?
Oh, you know, that was a feeling that I cannot even describe it. I was on the number 1 podium. I had the impression that I was going to faint. I mean, to see the Canadian flag, and you hear the anthems, and you see everybody standing and show the race, the teamwork, and with Canada. And I came here from Haiti, one of the poorest country in the world, and Canada gave me a great opportunity, and I seized them, and we did the best as we could.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
Well, as a champion and as a successful entrepreneur, what would you say to people who face adversity, face challenges? What would you say to them? What do they need to do?
We're always going to have challenges. You know, you were talking earlier about the gold medal. Remember, 5 days before that, I wanted to win also a medal in the 100 meters. So when I came to the semifinal, I didn't even make the final. So that was very bad for me. But I always said to myself, when you are in this position, adversity, always say to yourself, why are you in that position? And you have to say also what you're going to do about it. So the first night it was very tough. And the next day I said, okay, it's past. I'm going to work even harder. And 2 years after that, I was the second fastest of all time in the 100 meters. So I came back again. So there's always a solution.
No, that's absolutely awesome. What's your passion right now? What drives you?
passion. I have a lot of dreams. I mean, we were talking about real estate. I started to do a real estate and Canada. My foundation every year. The goal is higher and higher and higher. This year we raised more than $300,000 for kids and sport and everything. And life is good. My clothing line is going well. You have to have passion. I mean, when you have the passion, you have the goal. You just need to work hard. Like JT was saying. I mean, it's hard work and hard work and hard work. We all can do it.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank
you very much for this, and I'll talk to you next time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you next time.
Fantastic.
That goes to show that when you're doing videos and doing interviews, honestly, it doesn't have to be polished. If you can act on the fly, be quick on your feet, you could get content, you could create videos, you could have a great experience, and something like that. It doesn't come all the time. So if you can catch that moment, go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Just like Nike says, just do it. So tell us, my friend, as we heard in the interview there, we all have high points and low points in our career, and we have times when perhaps we doubt ourselves and whatnot. Do you have a story to share about a bit of a low point in your career, perhaps the transition going from engineering work to all the things that really is your dream work that you've been kind of investing in and working with? Was there a low point along the way that you want to share that story, my friend?
Well, I think that when it comes to entrepreneurship or wanting to reach any of your goals, there's always that period of time where it seems like nothing's happening. You're putting so much time, you're putting so much effort into it. It feels like you're just burning the midnight oil all the time and nothing's coming back. And there has been periods of time where it felt that way. We're not getting the deals that we wanted, or tenants aren't paying rent, and all this stuff just isn't going our way. Well, the thing is, it happens to everybody. You can talk to any successful person. You can talk to anybody who's succeeded in what they're doing. And there's always those trials and tribulations. And I think the biggest thing that you need to kind of look at those situations are, how do you learn from it? And how do you use that information so that you don't repeat that problem again or repeat that situation again? And we've taken that kind of mindset with everything that happens with it doesn't go our way. Once it starts building, like for instance, you go, hey, I'm putting all these videos on YouTube and I'm putting all these videos on my podcast, and we're not seeing anybody listening or anybody watching. Well, just give it some more time. Let it build some momentum, and then you'll be surprised at who's going to be sharing, who's going to be commenting, and just putting yourself out there would eventually get to that point. And for sure, like I've gone through a lot of periods where I felt kind of lonely, or I felt kind of sad that it's not going my way. But always having that positive mindset, always thinking about, okay, how do I make this into a learning situation? And how do I make this into a story that I can share with other people so that they can learn from my mistakes or my challenges?
Yeah, people get excited about the butterfly, that they don't pay too much attention to the butterfly when it was working to become the butterfly.
Yeah.
So as you're working to become the butterfly, and you're heading in the right direction, people are just not maybe paying attention yet. People haven't noticed yet. As you mentioned in one of your videos or interviews, there's really not such a thing as an overnight success, right? I mean, overnight success took a long time to get to that point. People maybe notice you overnight. One day they did not, and next day they notice you, but really you've been working through all that.
I think the saying goes, like, an overnight success takes 10 years of work.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. So tell us, in terms of is it ebb and flow between one day to the next? How much work do you do in the real estate side versus perhaps the book writing side versus the speaking side versus other things? How does your week typically go these days, my friend?
I think my week kind of takes all of that into account. So every day I either do a little bit of real estate, dealing with tenants, looking at deals, and then also parts of and then after that I'll be looking at, okay, how do I expand my business? How do I connect with more people? So I try to reach out to like 5, 10, 15 people per day just to get that connection, get to know them a little bit more. How do I add value to them? And then that leads into potentially coaching clients, working with people one-on-one, and then maybe they're looking for real estate. So everything kind of goes together. Sometimes I am able to coach them on writing books. And for myself, I have a book project as as I talked about before. So every day I do a little bit of everything. The speaking stuff, that goes into my podcast interviews. The book writing stuff, well, that goes into my course creations or my reaching out to different people and all that kind of stuff. So really, like every single day, there's lots of activity going on. And as long as you time block everything and make sure that you allot a certain amount of time for each item, then each item will still maintain that type of momentum so that eventually you get to your end goal.
That's very, sounds like a very disciplined approach to kind of juggle multiple balls there in the air and make sure they don't drop too badly.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Cool. So tell us about, I'm going to share some photos, my friend, and what I'm hoping that it will bring out is stories. So tell us about the stories that these photos bring out. So I'm going to actually show them in relatively random order, and so be kind of in a different groups and whatnot. But if I just go ahead and bring them in this photo here, and tell us about this photo and the stories behind it.
Well, yeah, so this is my current series of my Make More Work Less books. I have a little bit about communications, financial foundations, mindset, how do you structure your team together, and then also how to buy your first investment property and make that cash flow. So these are books that I've been very proud of myself for completing, and also my wife Jessica has been involved as well. And again, it started off with one challenge of writing one book and connecting to as many people as you can, to coming up with 5 books and then working on our future 5th, 6th, and 7th book. So it's one of those things that you put your mind to it. It's not that hard. So if anybody wants to write a book, you just really have to put your head down and start doing it. So just taking action.
I love it. I love how you have a overarching theme here, which is the make more, work less. So make more, work less by various different ways. Make more, work less by, dealing with cash flow. Make more, work less when it comes to, different things here, bonuses, and make more, work less by connecting with people. Make work less by creating your gateway to stardom, and so on, but by leading teams. So basically, different aspects of essentially leadership and different aspects of entrepreneurship, different aspects of business, but all aimed at leveraging your time is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. So definitely, it seems to me like it's very clear now that the regular kind of 5-day-a-week job and whatnot would have been a very, very long and not very productive kind of arrangement for you. It's entrepreneurship is where it's at.
Well, yeah, actually, during the time when I was writing all these books, I was still working full time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, as I was building my skill sets and building my brand and my business, working full time is something that I still encourage people to do. Sometimes you may or may not be able to jump right into it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to leverage your downtime and utilize that to build up your personal brand and build up your business brand, I highly recommend that. And then after a period of time, eventually you might go, hey, it's time for me to get out of my day-to-day job and then really focus on this path.
Again, it's based on that practical and pragmatic prioritization to kind of say, okay, I don't love my job. In fact, many days I feel, kind of not a good fit for me. And how do I translate that? How do I transition out of that? And what you're saying is don't make any sudden moves just because you're fed up with it. Go ahead and execute a thoughtful plan. And in your case, it was to kind of work after hours on outside of business hours on this venture, on this business of yours. I mean, if you can't make traction when there's no pressure of making income to feed your family, how are you going to do that when it's actually right? So and then a lot of people say, well, but I'm busy. But when we think about our life and how many hours we do different things, if this was really that important to you, you should be able to find the time. Right?
Well,
And
yeah,
if you can't find the time, then obviously it's not very important to you.
Yeah. One question I usually ask my clients who are debating whether or not they should stay in their jobs or if they should start looking for something else. My question is usually, if you had the opportunity to do anything that you wanted, would you still be doing what you're doing without being paid?
Mhm.
And most of the time they go, no. Then what is it that you want to do, even though if you're not being paid for it, that would make you inspiring, that would make you motivated to wake up every single day to do that? And for myself, it's working with individuals, helping them unlock their potentials, helping them discover skill sets that they may or may not have found before. So that's something that I wake up to, always pumped up, ready to go, having that mindset.
So because you're clear about that, it was no big deal to sacrifice some other activities that used to take our time. Listen, we all have 24 hours every day and 7 days a week. We all have the same amount of seconds and minutes and hours. And the question is, what do we do with it? And, a certain number of hours we have to sleep, a certain number of hours we have to be perhaps at our job that's generating the income that's necessary for the life that we're leading. But there's many other hours that you can choose to, kind of do whatever else. And in your case, you've chosen to really execute your dream and live your dream, even though early on it could not replace your full-time job, even though early on it was not financially even giving you much of an income, but because it is motivating and because it was inspirational and alignment with your dreams, you didn't care as long you just work on writing books and whatever. You didn't need the money from the books. Writing the books was reward enough, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and one thing I also tell people to do is, you can learn from anything, anywhere, and anyone. So when it comes to how do you spend your time, one thing I usually ask people to ask themselves is, why am I spending time on this, and how does this add value to me? So for instance, if you love a certain TV show, or you love a certain movie, or you love doing something, well, ask yourself, why do you love doing that so much? Or why is this show gravitating to you so much? And then you start going, oh, I never realized that. Maybe I should take that element and implement it into my business and make the whole process always a learning process. So for instance, I love the comic book stuff. I love that type of entertainment. Mm-hmm. I also am a very big fan of Disney. So when it comes to enjoying that kind of stuff, every time I go to Disney World or Disneyland or whatever like that, I kind of open my eyes and go, okay, how does Disney make so much money? How does Disney attract so many people into their parks? Is it this? Is it that? And once you start asking that question, you start realizing a lot of different things that Disney does that you may or may not actually notice. So a very quick story on that is, you've gone to Disney World?
I haven't yet, but
no. Have you gone to Disneyland?
No.
No? Okay. So I'm gonna ruin some magic for you.
That's quickly. Okay. Go ahead.
So as you go to the Disney World or Disneyland, the castle is centered right in the middle of everything.
Right.
And what most people don't realize is when you walk towards that castle, first of all, it's kind of hidden until you keep on walking up towards that castle. So it kind of reveals itself slowly as you walk up to it. But notice the word up. I kept on saying walk up to it. Well, there's actually a very slight slope from the entranceway that goes all the way up towards the center, up towards this castle. And the reason behind that is Walt Disney was so smart that he figures when people come to the park, usually it's during the day. They're pumped full of energy, they're ready to go, so they're running up towards the castle. But when at the end of the day, when they're all tired, guess what? You're walking down slope, so it's a little bit more easier on the legs and a little bit more relaxing. And he just thought of all that before it even started. So asking those questions, now you go, how do I take that and put it into my company? How do I make my business a little bit easier for people in a certain way, or a little bit more challenging in a certain way, depending on their mindsets at different periods of time? So that's great. That's what I love doing. I love asking those questions to see what other people do and implement it to myself.
Yeah. In other words, recognizing and respecting and honoring good design and sort of again beauty and good design, and always be on a lookout for how you can incorporate more of that thinking into your own business, into your own customer service, and so on. Yeah, very cool, very cool. Again, we get out of life what we focus on, right? If we go on Disney and you focus on all of the negative things, then we'll come back and we'll that's what we see, right? Because it doesn't matter how perfect a place is, there will be problems. And so, however, if you go to Disney and say, well, here's this wonderful place, and how can I glean out sort of valuable lessons that maybe not earth-shattering kind of brand new, but in a way, in a context that would motivate me to maybe inject that into my own life, into my own business, then you're purposeful about how you incorporating that knowledge, right? I joke sometime I do corporate training, and I say, if you, for example, want to be a better interviewer and you just love watching Oprah, well, next time you just watch Oprah, you say, I'm actually just honing my interviewing skills. And if you actually think that way, then you get the benefit. If you don't, then you might miss it, right? So being kind of purposeful about what you get out of life, what you extract out of life, I guess, right?
Yeah, I find some of the best people to watch is stand-up comedy.
Absolutely.
How do they use the stage? How do they tell their jokes? How do they use timing and positioning and engagement? All that kind of stuff you can learn at the same time as you're being entertained. So.
Absolutely. I love them as well. And I've actually taken some workshops from 3 comedians one time at one of the speakers convention one year. There was an all-day workshop, and I bought the workbook, and I bought the DVDs and listened to it and watched it and worked through the workbook. Tell us about this one, my friend. Here you are doing the run.
So as I said, I'm a very big Disney fan, and luckily my wife is also a big Disney fan.
Good for you.
In fact, we got married at Disney World, and it was one of the best experiences in the world. So this is the half marathon at Disney World, and this is a challenge I didn't know about until one of our friends went to it. And the challenge is running a 5K on a Thursday, a 10K on the Friday, and then a half marathon on the Saturday, and then a full marathon on the Sunday.
Wow.
So first of all, when I hear marathon, I always thought that, wow, you must be in top shape. You must be amazing. I put you on a pedestal and go, I will never be able to do that. Well, that's a lesson about mindset. We went to another event, and one of the speakers says, oh, they did the same challenge. I'm like, man, this guy's 200-300 pounds and they could do it. So at that moment we signed up, and after we signed up, we also realized that if you do all 4 races, you get like 6 medals. You got 4 medals for each one,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get 2 bonus medals for finishing that combination. And then there was more challenges running in LA and also running in Paris, Disney, and we did all that stuff, and we had a lot of fun. And with marathon running, if anybody here wants to run a marathon, I guarantee you, if you go to the Disney marathon, you'll get it done. And you're going to have a lot of fun doing it because there's lots of entertainment on the way. They give you lots of time to finish it. And you're going to be in the room on the road with 28,000 people running at the same time. So once again, asking that question, why did Disney do this, and are they so successful? Well, during this period of time of the run, it's actually Disney's low time. It's in January, where not a lot of people show up. So then they go, hey, how do we drive up more business? How do we drive up more value for people? Let's create this experience. And then 28,000 people will come and sign up and run in this dopey challenge. So highly recommend it. It really tests your mind and tests your body. Persistency is the key for finishing these runs, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, that's a great story. And again, if I can bring out a couple of things, when you work hard and when you really need to work hard, find a way to make it enjoyable. And also, when you work really hard, find a way to be among people who also are working really hard. It's tougher to work hard on our own sometimes, I think. That's why sometimes if you have a big push, sometimes you maybe be among your team to make that big push together as a team. That tends to lend itself to being a more productive weekend than if you were just independently working on it. It seems... be among people who are pushing for the same goals. Wonderful. Now, I must say, did I hear correctly that you and your wife got married at Disney World?
Yes, we did. It was a very, very long day, but the ceremony was actually very, very short. So Disney runs a very tight shift. So you walk in and you meet your officiant, and the officiant goes, "I'm going to say this, you'll say this, I'll say this, you'll say this. You ready? Let's go."
Oh, yeah.
And 10 minutes later, the ceremony was over.
It's like doing a wedding at let's say, we would hear a wedding in Vegas kind of a deal, but it's Disney, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Now you gotta do a follow up, my friend. In this interview video kind of live stream here, the comments, you got to post one or more photo of that wedding day at Disney World.
I'll get you a photo.
Oh, there you are. Oh, that's for finishing the race, the run, the marathon.
No, actually, this was an award that we got from the Lions Club and Lions Association.
Mm.
And we figured that one thing that we really strive for is helping others become better speakers, become better presenters. And we hosted I believe it was an 8 to 9 week course for some young entrepreneurs and young leaders, and help them with their communication skills, help them with their speech writing and all that kind of stuff. So after doing that for a period of time, the Lions Club kind of recognized us as people who are giving back to the community and awarded us with this award. So that was very nice and very touching. And it was award enough to help those people and those kids break out of their comfort zones and become better speakers, but also to be recognized with an award was very nice.
Nice. Very cool.
So yeah, this photo is one thing that I do with all my rentals. One thing that I learned from Disney is you always want to create wow experiences. You want to be able to add value to your guests. And in Disney, when they wow all their clients and wow their guests, they keep on coming. And and it works. 70% of Disney's returnees are people who keep on coming back. Mm-hmm. So how do I apply that to my rental career and working as a landlord? Well, every time I have a new tenant, I have a welcome gift, and everything you see there are things that allows them to either unpack, take a shower, and relax. There's some snacks, some movies and stuff like that, some personalized gifts, so that every time they come in, they go, wow. So I've had a lot of tenants that after that experience, they want to come back as a tenant at another location, or they refer other tenants to me, and they've always said I create a great experience for them every time they move in. So it's one of those things I do for my tenants.
Wonderful. And again, we must stress that it is not about the monetary value of the gifts. It's about the thoughtfulness of the gift. Tell us, you have towers in there, thinking that then they moved in, they may not have their things unpacked yet. So maybe some towels might be useful, and just really thoughtful in how you select these items, right?
So we actually have like some personalized gifts in there. So during the walkthrough or the interview process or screening process, I find out a little bit more about them. So if somebody was a big hockey fan, then I make sure that I have a gift for that person that has to do with hockey. If that person is a huge movie fan, I might be finding a certain movie that I knew that they would like. I'll get that movie for them. If they had kids, I would get a TV series of a cartoon that I'm pretty sure the kids would like, kind of thing. So I make sure that it's a different experience for each member of the family. I've actually gotten like presents for their dogs or their cats. Mm-hmm. And after we go through the whole thing, I go, oh yeah, by the way, I'll open up the fridge and go, hey, look, there's some freezies for you. So
there you go. You go the extra mile. You do the thinking. Again, people love to be thought of. People love to be pampered. And thank you for sharing that. Let's. There you are in your. Look at this. I'm going to do this kind of like at the optometrist, where you say, "Is this better or is this better? Is this
1 or 6?
B?" Just kidding.
3 or 10.
Can you read the small font letters? Very cool. Very cool. So you're having fun with some of your photo shoot for your speaking and other careers there?
Yeah, for sure.
I recognize that man. When you left, did you say you'll be back?
Yeah, he's the Terminator, and it was a lot of fun being able to meet him and learn from him. He's actually, like, lots of people don't realize that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a very, very smart business guy, and before he became a huge movie star, he was about to make a complete career change and go into real estate investing and become a business person. But then he got signed up for Terminator, and then went a completely different way. So he was at an event here in Edmonton, The Power of Success. He was the keynote speaker there. I had the opportunity to be on that stage and share one of my stories to that crowd, and at the end got to meet Arnold. So it was a lot of fun. And for me, I love learning from different people and different successful individuals. And he's one of those guys that I've read his biography. He has those 6 main tips, and it's a lot of fun just talking to him and finding out more.
Yeah, and as many speakers tend to put it this way, you shared the stage with Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Exactly.
There you go. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm not surprised to hear that he's pretty kind of good at business and into business and have a business mind, because I read some of his stuff earlier in his bodybuilding days, and you can, by reading those articles, you can glean into the person behind all of that, all of the muscle there. You can glean into his discipline and his kind of thoughts on a lot of things, actually. But very cool, very cool. There you are with someone else that we recognize, perhaps, folks out there.
Mr. Rocky, and JT Fox is one of my coaches. I've learned a lot from JT, and he was able to give us opportunities to meet people like Stallone here. And again, he brings people in to do a big keynote speech. And Stallone has achieved so many different things, and he's very inspirational. His background was something that was very inspiring. Learning from how he overcame his trials and tribulations was a great opportunity. And getting this photo was one of our highlights of that event. And right after this photo, we actually got back here and watched all the Rockies and all the Rambos and find out what he did behind the scenes here and what he did behind the scenes there. In fact, he shared a story about the Expendables and where he came up with that concept. And the thing is, when I talked about how do you apply different ideas from different industries into your own industry, Stallone actually did that with the Expendables. He was asking the question, how come there's sometimes those big world tours, those music events where they bring in lots of different bands and lots of different singers? Well, he goes, well, why can't we do that with actors? So he brought in all the biggest names in actions back in the 80s and early 90s and go, hey, let's do one big movie and we're going to have a great time doing it. And that's how Expendables came up. So
nice.
Again, asking that question and learning from it.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to highlight for our viewers that, again, here's a gentleman who really, real life story mirrors a little bit about the kind of the Rocky story of the down and out and underdog and all of that, and to victory and all, overcoming adversity and whatnot. Like you said, very inspiring. Very cool. We recognize this person here.
Mr. George Ross.
Yes.
Was a great honor to meet him as well. I also got the opportunity to interview him and find out a little bit more about where he came from and his trials and tribulations and the importance of coaching. And just for somebody in their mid 80s, man, this guy has so much energy. So when you're telling me that you're too old to do something or too young to do something or don't have the energy, that's just an excuse, I find, because this man has been incredible. He's up all the time. He's still up early in the mornings, working with people and doing charity work and coaching people. And I've learned a lot from him. And whether you like Trump or not, it doesn't matter. He was involved with a lot of the real estate deals, and he was his advisor. He was his soundboard, and he's helped Trump get to the success that he got. So this guy has a lot of knowledge and a lot of wealth of wisdom, and a great person to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you're right in saying that. Obviously, health is a very important thing, and we don't have full control of our health and what happens to us. But within the constraints that we're given, one thing I know is if we don't use it, we lose it. So whether it's my arm muscle, whether it's my brain, whether it's whatever, if we don't use it frequently enough, it starts to shut down, right? It starts to shrink, right? Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of people having a lot of smiles there, my friend.
Well, yeah. So the reason why I put this up, I usually encourage people to, if you have any opportunity at all, to go meet different people, to go listen to successful people speak, and get a chance to get a photo op or meet them in person. Always say yes to those kind of opportunities. It allows you to expand your credibility, expand your exposure with different types of people. So for instance, if I'm going to speak at an event where I knew there was going to be a lot of business type people, then I would probably use photos like the George Ross photo, or the Steve Wozniak photo, or the Stedman Graham photo. But if I'm going to speak with a lot of younger people and people who are interested in the entertainment business and all that kind of stuff, I might use the photo with 50 Cent or with the stars of Big Bang. And then again, if it's sports related, then I will use the photos with Mark Messier or Ryan Smith and stuff like that, just so that it shows that you're active, that you're associated with people that are successful, that you're in situations where you're able to meet these people as well. In fact, the photo with Scott McGilvery there, he was actually speaking at an event at the River Cree here in Edmonton. And I'm like, you know what, it'd be kind of neat to kind of meet him and ask him a question and get a photo. And for me, I've been to that venue many times for different events. So I kind of knew where the back rooms and where they're going to leave and which doors they're going to escape from. So I figured, hey, what better way to position myself than position myself in a spot where I could actually meet him alone. And right before the whole event ended, he walked backstage. I'm like, okay, I know where he's going to go. So I walked outside, I walked into this hallway, and sure enough, there he was all by himself, and I got that photo with him. So positioning is key when it comes to being able to take action and finding those opportunities that people may or may not be able to find.
You bet. Where there's a will, there's a way. And again, we get our mind is very much programmed by the environment that it finds itself in. So if I want to be a better musician and I never hang around with musicians, I'm limited to how far I can go as a musician. But if I'm hanging around with top-notch musicians all the time, and as well as the budding musicians on both ends of the spectrums, and everything in between, I'm more likely to wire my brain to think that you are a musician, and the brain will kick in and do its thing, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, you might just run into these people without even knowing it. It's like the Ryan Smith photo. I actually saw him at I was running the half marathon here in Edmonton, and I just wanted to see how long I could stay with the top of the pack. So I inched my way to the front, and then I saw Ryan Smith there. I'm like, maybe I'll see if I could stay on his path and his pace. Well, 3 kilometers down, he was like way ahead of me. I'm like, you know what? You go ahead.
Very cool. Very cool. There you are, one of the panels for a very prestigious event that probably has a lot of ambitious people in the room.
Yeah, so here the keynote speaker was Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. And after he finished doing his talk, I was privileged enough to be on the same panel as him to talk about different business strategies and different insight as to how important coaching is, and also branding is, and how I started my business and all that kind of stuff. So being able to sit beside him and actually pick his brain a little bit, and then also sharing my story with the people who are asking questions, it was a great experience, and lots of great insight from Mr. Harrington as well.
Yeah. If you want to be a fish, you got to spend your time in water. And if you want to be a better fish, spend your time in more different waters. And before too long, you're comfortable with all the waters, right?
Exactly.
Very cool.
That there is another panel I was part of. And the person on the far right, he is actually the #1 realtor in all of Western Canada, Justin Harvard. And if you're in Calgary, you can't miss him, because he's on every single billboard out there. The first thing you see when you land in Calgary is his face. and being able to share a real estate panel on how real estate works and how we made real estate work for ourselves, how we structure our deals and all that kind of stuff was a lot of fun. And hearing him speak about how he built his real estate company and his realty team has been very inspiring as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, I just want to go back to the other photo because I don't know if I featured it in full like that. So as I look at this here, it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's at, is this,
This was in San Diego.
Okay, cool. I was going to mention, okay, wonderful. Let's continue here to the next photo here, my friend. Here you are doing some of your music stuff. Tell us about your music background and where you landed and where you ended up going with it.
Well, as a Chinese person, an Asian person, I'm sure you can attest to loving karaoke.
Yes.
And at a very young age in high school, I started doing a lot of karaoke and singing, and joined a lot of competitions. But the only thing I sang was Chinese songs, Chinese pop, Hong Kong pop songs, and I competed in a lot of that stuff. So during that period of time, I actually, after my competition years, I was asked to perform on a few stages for Chinese New Year's and all that kind of stuff. And then fast forward 10 years later, people were starting to ask, how come I never sing anymore? How come I don't perform anymore? And all these people were Caucasians and Western people who were asking me. And I said, well, I don't sing English. And one person goes, hey, you're a coach, you challenge people. Would you like to take on a challenge? And at that moment, I'm like, shoot, this person's got me. So they challenged me to go on stage and sing an English song. And this is one of my favorite photos. I think the person who captured it, I owe them a lot of credit because it makes me look amazing up there. Yeah. So I was actually singing a country song here. So not only was it just an English song, but it was a country song. So it was a lot of fun.
Tell us, what song was it? What was the title of the song?
Oh, shoot. It was Keith Urban's song.
Cool. Keith Urban.
I completely forgot the title of the name.
It'll come back to you. And when and if it does, put in the comment there, my friend, in the thread. But you're right. This is an awesome photo. It gives us the sense of kind of the, again, your peak potential in music is right here in this photo, my friend.
Always take on challenges and always express yourself in a way that you never thought of, and you'll be glad you did it.
Yeah. So very cool. So that's an example of a little bit of a blast from the past, but really triggered by really a challenge, that a friendly challenge on really, again, kind of stretching yourself a little bit there. That's cool. Very cool. So was this music, or was it speaking, or was it
that was a performance in Chinese. That was about 10 years ago, and actually the story behind this one may or may not be something that you're expecting, but I had a very big life lesson during this performance. Most people don't know by looking at this photo, but this performance right here was life-changing because I learned something very important, and that was the importance of your mindset. We know that as long as you keep on telling yourself one thing, then you'll materialize it, right? No matter how much you say don't do it, you'll materialize it. Just like I'm sure you've heard of the example, don't think of a pink elephant. Well, I'm pretty sure you're thinking about that pink elephant right now. Well, right before I went up on stage on here, I was freaking out because I was afraid I was gonna forget lyrics. So I kept on repeating the lyrics over and over and over in my mind. And then right before they announced my name, that was when I stumbled on the lyrics at that very moment. And so the last time I recited in my mind, my lyrics were all wrong. And sure enough, once I walked up on that stage and I got to that same spot, I went completely blank. And it was just one of those times where, well, life goes on, the music keeps on playing, and you just catch up wherever you are. But from that time forward, I've always told myself, one, don't keep on reciting lyrics at the last minute, and two, never doubt yourself when you already know the material. So from that point on, it's a big life lesson for me.
You bet. You got to just trust that you have it all rehearsed and sort of baked into your internalize it and not overcomplicating it last minute.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you know what? Even with the stumbling on the lyrics as you described there, which if you didn't share that, we wouldn't know it. You look fantastic. You could be a magician. You could be a rock star. You could be anything up there with that pose there, my friend.
I know. So that's why I still share it. I don't normally share the story, but I show the photo a lot.
See, there you go. This might be the only place you heard this story on the internet somewhere, friends. And, any champion, Wayne Gretzky, he missed a lot of shots and he missed a lot of passes, but we know about him because he landed a few, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and that's why I encourage lots of people who wants to get into speaking or wants to be on stages and get as many photos of yourself speaking to any kind of groups. Get the photos from behind you, get the photos from at the far back of the room, just to show that you're talking to people. I have a few clients who had the opportunity to speak at some leadership conferences and whatnot. And I walked around and took photos for them. And then I showed them, look at this photo. This is amazing. There's about 80 people in the room listening to you speak. Now, you could have screwed up. You could have said something that was completely boring, but this photo does not show any of that. And therefore, this photo gives you so much credibility, and it's so powerful that you just have to take the opportunity to get those shots.
Well, you're in a ring. You're a boxer, and you're in the ring. You don't have to be a champion that day, but you were in the ring that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. Tell us about this series that you alluded to earlier, my friend.
Yeah, so this is the Make More Mind Bites series that's been going on for about 2.5 years now. Actually, more like 3 years. How this series started. So first of all, I wanted to be able to add value to as many people as I can. And I figured the best way to do that is start doing these 2-3 minute talks every week and then kind of post it up there. Whether people are listening or not, one thing is to overcome my fear of posting stuff online and doing videos. And the other thing is if I could overcome that and also add value at the same time, great. So it was during a mastermind class that I was sitting there telling them what my challenges were and what kind of fears I had. And one person stood up and goes, well, first of all, my coach told me to do, I think, 1 video a day for 365 days. And in my mind, that was so overwhelming that kind of scared me. And I didn't take action on that for the longest time. And then during this mastermind event where everybody's kind of challenging each other and supporting each other, one person stood up and goes, you know what? If you do it, I'll do it. I'm like, okay. And another person stood up and goes, why don't you just do 1 a week? I'm like, okay, 1 a week I can do. Now I'm being challenged by this guy. And then 2 other people stood up and go, okay, if you guys all do it, then we'll all do it. So we had like 3-4 people taking on this challenge to do 1 a week for a whole year. And sure enough, the first thing I did was post my very first video and said, okay, I'm being challenged to do this. I look forward to add value. And after a year, it turns out I was the only one that still were doing videos. I was the only one that actually did all 52 videos, if not more. And then when I talked to the person who challenged me, he goes, yeah, I never intended to do any video. I just want to make sure that you did it. So I thank him for that, because if it was not for him, 1, I would surely not be talking to you right now. And 2, I wouldn't have over 300 some videos online. So thanks to him.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And let's take a look at the next photo. This is a continuation of that. I love that. This one here, I really like this one with you in action there, right in the cut in the middle of your.
Yeah, so this is the title banner for my podcast show. I talked about it before, where I'm interviewing lots of different people, finding out their success stories, how did they become who they are, and to add value to as many people as I can. And one thing I wanted to make sure I did was to make the guests feel very, very welcome. When I introduce them, I make sure they feel like superstars. And that's something I learned from one of my coaches, JT. When he introduces people, he makes them feel like a star. And when I watch people like Kevin Smith, one of the Hollywood directors, when he interviews people, he really makes people feel like they're on top of the world. So that's one thing I implemented in my introductions to my guests. And then at the very end of my podcast, I asked them some quick questions just to get to know them a little bit more. And then I like to throw a little bit of a twist to it and ask them an impromptu question and test them on their ability to think fast on their feet. Mm-hmm. So started another little quick question called "What is success like?" And you know what? If you're game, at the end of this interview, I'm going to ask you that same question and see how you do.
Yeah. Hey, cool. Thank you for sharing that. And tell us about the logos on the bottom there. You got ABC, you got NBC, you got CBS and Fox. Tell us a bit about that, my friend.
So when it comes to branding and your personal branding and getting exposure, it's all about credibility and getting some recognition from third parties, mm-hmm. and having some recognition from the media is always good as well. Mm-hmm. And it allows you to separate yourself from other people. Mm-hmm. So when I was writing my books and getting to real estate, expanding my business, I was told to, hey, why don't we start doing a press release on the next thing that you're going to be doing? And that was releasing our next book. And we wrote a press release, and it got picked up by all those different media outlets. So our story was featured in some of their online platforms and some of the magazines and whatnot. And after you get featured in those areas, you could utilize those logos as credibility tools. So another thing that I recommend people do is things aren't as hard as you think they are. You just have to go out there and see how do people achieve certain things that you want to achieve and take action on it.
Yeah, well, that's a great reminder that, we do our parts and we can't control what another person or another party, another company might do. But if we do our parts, sometimes, as they say, luck favors the prepared, right? I mean, that's a quote from folks like, obviously many people have said that before. I'm thinking of Pastor. I'm not sure if I pronounce his last name correctly, but the bottom line is, it says an age-old quote that says that the more prepared we are with the work that we've done, the more opportunities will connect with those things that we've done, right? Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. I'd like to tell us about this. I recognize some faces here, and I recognize some faces that are also doubling up here. Tell us about that.
So, like I said, I love talking to people on Zoom now and being able to interview different people with different successes. So those are just some screenshots of some of the people that's on my Peak Potential Success show. Mm-hmm. The one on the top right, that's JT Fox, one of my coaches. The one on the top left is actually one of JT's coaches. Both of them are multimillionaires. Both of them are very successful in business and branding. So being able to interview them on my show has been a dream. The two in the middle there, Katie K, she's actually a self-made millionaire at the age of 23. Mm-hmm. And her story has been amazing. She's now an elite coach, working with different people, different businesses, and she owns a multi-million-dollar business. The person right also on the middle row there is Mark McCoy. And he is an Olympic champion for Canada in the 110-meter hurdles. Mm-hmm. And being able to talk to him and share some stories, because one of my backgrounds was I used to run a lot of track in junior high and high school, and my specialty was also the hurdles. Mm-hmm. So being able to share my story with him was a lot of fun, and getting to hear what he's done to kind of reinvent himself after his career in sprinting into a motivational speaker and trainer has been very fun as well. Mm-hmm. The person on the bottom left there is a former NHL player, Jason, and he is awesome. He was able to reinvent himself and become a nutritional coach, a performance coach, and he has a website called, I believe it's upmyhockey.com. And then the person on the bottom right there is Neville Wright. He is in the Olympics for the four-man bobsled for the Canadian team, and he's right here in Edmonton, Alberta. So hearing his talk and hearing his motivation and what drives him has been very, very inspirational as well.
In other words, high performance habits and high performance thinking are very transferable between whether it's sports to business or whatever have you. when I meet somebody who operates at a very high level in one field of life, I tend to believe that they can likely apply it very successfully to another field of life if they are committed to doing so, if they choose to do so and committed to doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. I know this place.
That is the event with Power of Success, and that's where Arnold Schwarzenegger was also standing. So I wasn't on stage at the same time, but I was on the same stage, and there's about 4,500 people there. So it was exhilarating and a lot of fun sharing my story and being able to add value.
Yeah, we played on that stage a couple of times, and that is a very cool room with the lights at night. I see some of those lights there as well. Hey, is that a big TV monitor? That I see that it's off right now, but I guess if they turn that on, you can. That's
no, actually that screen's on, but it's for the audience.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
facing the other way.
Cool. I thought they might have done that as somehow the monitor for their speaker. That's pretty decadent there.
I think the monitor for a speaker is that time count right there.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, very cool. So I see your very cool photo, my friend. Let's continue here. Actually, let me just. I think I'm just going to do this. Make sure that we can see it in big here. And this of course is the what is now the Edmonton Convention Center. What used to be Shaw Conference Center.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And this is the photo from that speech that we were watching before.
Yeah. Very cool.
And same thing here.
Yeah. Very cool.
So this is this here was a charity event that I did for the Lions Club, and I was given the opportunity to host that event and speak and MC. The person beside me is actually my brother, who's also done some speaking on his own as well. And it was just one of those things that when you have an opportunity to give back to the community, connect with people, and create an event that's a lot of fun, I'm always game for that because it's a new challenge. It actually got me to bring back some of my old competition friends because I was in charge of the whole event. I got to pick my entertainment. So I went back to some of the competitors I competed against in my singing contest days, got them to come back out, and they did part of the performance. And then after, I think, a year of that, I got the itch, and I decided to perform with them the year after. So I've actually done this event about 4 years. Nice. And after 4 years, it was time to pass it on to somebody else. But it was a great time to drive up some more charity events and also some donations for some very needed communities.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, I want to share a video, a fairly short video of you talk about what is branding, and it is one from your mini series there, the Mind Bites. So tell us about that before I roll the clip here, my friend.
Well, I believe that everybody has a need to build a good personal brand, because in the end, you may have the best product, may have the best service, you may have the best something, but if people don't know who you are, if people don't think of you first, if people don't know what characteristics or personalities that you have, then why would they come to you, kind of thing, right? So I treat my social media like an ongoing live resume, where everything I put in there, everything that I present to myself into the public has to do with building my brand, building my professionalism, building my credibility. So when it comes to personal branding, you can then take your personal brand and attach it to something else. Like, for instance, Elon Musk has a strong personal brand. So when he puts that with, let's say, Tesla or SpaceX or whatever it is, then there's some credibility that builds to it. In fact, if I say that Elon Musk is here in Edmonton and he's going to start a speaking organization, there's going to be lots of people who wants to go there just because of his personal brand. He may or may not be the best speaker, but he's going to attract a lot of people because of who he is and what his brand is. So for myself, I highly encourage people to be very cognizant on what their personal brand is. What are they putting out there? What kind of message are they putting out there? So that when people think of certain things, they think of you first, and they will recommend you, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's an old saying that goes, who you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying. Right? The same statement, the same exact words could be said by one person, person A, and by person B, and it comes across very differently depending on how we perceive that who is speaking, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm going to click play here, my friend, on this video, and we're going to watch it here. So give me a second to bring that in, and let's go ahead and make that happen.
What is your personal brand? Hi, my name is Fong Chua. Welcome to Never Make More Mind Bites. Today, I just want to say, before we get to the video, I wanted to say thank you very much for all those people who are supporting the last mini-series on how to dominate the unknown. And thank you very much for all those people who actually bought a book, an ebook, and it was a great run. It was very fun, and I'm very happy to see such great reception, and I will never forget gesture that those people have made, and I just thank you very much for doing so. And because of that mini-series and the success of that mini-series, I decided to do another quick mini-series. It's only going to be about 5 videos, and starting today, and it's going to be, what is your personal brand? When I say the words Starbucks, Disney, and Apple, what are the first words that come to mind? Well, those words that you're saying right now, well, that's the brand. Those are the words that you gravitate to. Those are the words that you identify, the characteristics that you would think about when you think about those companies. That in turn becomes their brand. Now, whether or not those are the words that those brands think about when they're creating their brand or creating a company, but I'm pretty sure that those are the words that they use to infuse into their company, into their employees, so that they can create that company image to the masses, to the public. For the public eye to see, and therefore you are coming up with those words and those characteristics for that brand. Now, how is that different than anybody else? It doesn't have to be a company, it doesn't have to be a big brand name. What about you personally? What is your personal brand? Now, when I work with individuals, I ask them what is the brand that they want people to see them as? Because what is your brand? When people think about you, what's the first thing they think about? When I say your name to somebody else, what's the first 3-4 words that they think of when they think of you first? Now, it really doesn't matter if it's true or false, or whether you believe it's real or not, or true or not true. It is the image that you've portrayed that those other people have seen, and those are the characteristics, or those are the words that they think of when they think of your name. So when I work with people, I ask them, what are the words that they want people to think of them as? What is the brand they want to portray? And it's not until they live those words, embrace it, enforce those words, and enforce those characteristics that then and only then will people start noticing them for that brand, noticing them for those characteristics. So are you a person that's always late? Are you a person that's always responsible, always reliable, and always punctual? Those are the words that you're trying to find when you're working with your brand. What is that personal brand that you want people to see? Now, in my personal opinion, there are 3 very important words for a personal brand, and that would be value, professionalism, and also passion. Now, over the next few days here, I'm going to be talking about those 3 items. It will be value on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about professionalism on Friday, and then on Monday again, we'll talk about passion. And how do those 3 things relate to a personal brand, and how does it strengthen your personal brand? When you're a person with value, then you generate good strength and great, strong relationships. When you're a person of professionalism, then you create great opportunities. And finally, if you're a person of passion, then you're able to attract, motivate, and then inspire. So stay tuned for the next few days here, and I'm going to talk about what is your personal brand and how to build it. And I'll talk to you next time. Remember, today is the day where you can unlock your potential.
Very cool. Very cool. I agree with your sentiments 100%. 100%. Tell us, when you work with people with helping them with your branding, what has your experience been? Could you maybe describe the sort of the typical scenario of people who maybe you help with personal branding?
I think one of the main things is that they don't realize how important little details are, and they don't realize how important consistency are. When you're working with, let's say, big brand names, if certain if their logo was a little bit awkward, just a little bit, or slanted in one little area, or if the color's off a little bit, the shade's a little bit off, then you have to go back and change it, because it's very important to be consistent. You don't want people to be confused. So therefore, when it comes to a person's personal brand, you want to be consistent. If you're saying you're a person that is very consistent, you're a person who's very punctual, you're a person who's always able to live up to what you say, then let's say if you start doing videos online and you promise that you're going to be putting out videos every week, then you better put out a video every week, kind of thing, so that you are consistent with what you're saying you are, and you're consistent with your brand. Same with coming up with your logos and your fonts and your websites and all that kind of stuff. Are you using the same fonts throughout all your website? Are you using the same color scheme throughout your websites? And the consistency is one thing that people don't realize is that important. When it comes to social media, are you posting stuff where it has nothing to do with what you're doing? Like I understand there's a lot of people out there who uses Facebook and social media to share with family and friends what's going on with their lives, but at the same time they're using the same Facebook page to talk about their business and promoting their new books or their new speaking engagements. Well, there's some inconsistencies there, right? Because if somebody is following you because of you being a speaker or because of you being in a certain business, all of a sudden you post a picture about how you creating this new dish at home, has nothing to do with anything else that they're following. So you have to be consistent with what you're posting as well. So consistency is one of the biggest things that I work with my clients on, because that's something that they don't really realize that they're doing without even thinking about it.
Yeah, I'll give you an example that comes to mind. If you say, and people know you as easygoing, and so you're easygoing in the way you talk and in the way you approach life and whatnot, and then somebody goes and work with you and they find out that you're not at all easygoing, you're really very the opposite of that. Now, after a while and a few of those kind of experiences, there's going to be the sentiment that maybe your brand is not congruent, as you said, right?
That's very true. However, you may have to come up with like 2 or 3 personas. Like you might want to be, when you're online and when you're doing videos and you're doing on stage stuff, you want to be that entertaining person. You want to be that person who attracts and engages, and you want to be known for that. Your on stage persona.
Yeah.
But you might want to have another persona where you're a professional business person, where you're not going to be easily overcome, or you're not going to be easily taken advantage of, and you still want to be tough but also negotiable and also fair, kind of thing, right? And that might be different from entertainment, because you can't always be entertaining all the time. So you might want to have 2 or 3 different hats or roles that you want to play, and be consistent in those roles.
You bet. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. As I think about the other aspects of your work, and as I think about wrapping it up here for our viewers, is there a story or a sentiment that you want to leave with our viewers as we wrap this up here, my friend? I'm going to turn it over to you. You are going to take us home on this interview here, my friend. You can sing if you like, and it could be
I'm great. In fact, actually, how about this? If you put onto 2 screens right now, where we have you side by side, I'm going to have that one quick game with you first before I give my quick story.
You're going to play with me, are you?
Yeah, like I said, I always like to ask the question, what is success like to successful people like yourself? And I would like to test you on how fast you think on your feet. So I have here 4 items. Give me a number between 1 to 4.
2.
So 1, 2.
Yeah.
So how is success like a hood ornament?
Well, success is like a hood ornament in the way of that's what people often see. They see your success as if it's the hood ornament that's on display there, but they don't really see all the work that you actually put into really realize that success and realize that vision. So they don't appreciate that. And in many ways, I actually look at it as the hood ornament is one thing, that's one indicator of success. But in my mind, success is really the journey. The fact that we are able to build that car that is so awesome, that really invest in ourselves and creating really a different version of ourselves in that journey for success. The hood ornament is the least of my concern. But that the hood ornament often is, how people might might recognize their success. It's a symbol of that success, but that's not real success. Success is actually what has gone into before and building that car the way it is, and hood ornament is just one indicator of that, maybe.
Very good there. Very, very deep.
Hood ornament. I'm wondering what number 3 was then.
Well, no, that's for somebody else to find out later.
Yeah. Well, guitar. I was hoping you picked guitar. I could talk a little bit longer. Susan, Susan, our friend Susan, right? Susan Cow. She says Fong is a really competent engineer. So, right? And so bottom line is, as the conversation over the last hour and a bit here, you have gone well beyond the engineering starting career into what I would call a very diverse career. You do a number of things, but really all aimed at helping people, as you say, realize their potential, really attain their peak potential and whatnot. So as we wrap this up here, you played that game with me. I played along. So tell me, actually, no, just go ahead and take us out in whatever way you want. There's no rush. You can take a long time if you like. You can wrap it up quickly if you like. Like I said, if you want to sing one of your songs, feel free to do that. But thank you so much, my friend, for spending the time here. We literally just got in touch about this, on Saturday, right? So this turned around really quickly. Like 2 days later, here we are. Not even 2 days later. It's less than 48 hours. We turned it around, and here we are chatting about it. So take us out, my friend. But thank you so much for your time and sharing your perspective and your journey of really entrepreneurship and speaking and whether it's investment or real estate or all of those different things. And I will always remember that you and your wife got married at Disney World. That's sort of just stood out.
Well, thank you for that. And I'll post that photo for you very soon here. But thank you very much for the opportunity to share my stories, my experience, and some of my expertise with your audience. And it's been a lot of fun chatting with you. And as you said, we really just met up 2 days ago and kind of decided to do something like this. And the thing is, one thing that I usually recommend people is they just have to take action and jump right into it. And speed of implementation is very important. In fact, if I go, hey, let's do this interview 3, 4, 5, or whatever weeks later, then it's always going to be on my mind and I have to prep for it and all that kind of stuff. By picking the very first time that I could jump onto the show, one, I get it off of my to-do list, and 2, I get to impact and add value to your audience sooner. So one thing is really take action. The other thing is surround yourself with other people that you really want to be associated with. Some people that you want to learn from, people who's going to challenge you, and then people who are able to hold you accountable. Like I said, some of those stories that I had with the doing the videos and having that coach, having those people push you and support you and encourage you and also guide you along is very important in any kind of success that you have ever want to achieve. And that kind of leads into coaching. Having a coach in my life is one of the biggest turning moments in my life. Lots of people think about coaching from a musical standpoint, from an athletics standpoint, but never in a personal development or a business standpoint or a real estate standpoint. And once I had that with me, my business soared, my growth soared, my real estate soared. So having that coach being there every step of the way is very, very important. And they're able to tell you certain things that you may not be thinking about. One of the biggest challenges I had when writing our first book was that constant nagging in the back of our minds saying that, who am I to write a book? Who's going to read my book? That person over there is more successful than me and they don't have a book. So who am I to write that book? And it was my coach at the time that told me, over the last 100 years, there hasn't been anything new that's been written, but your voice hasn't been heard. Once he said that, and as I kept on growing, I added towards that, and that is, I may or may not be able to reach the people who are listening to you or who wants to hear your voice. And therefore, every single moment that you're not writing your book, every single moment that you're not going up on stage and speaking, every single moment that you're not putting stuff online and doing those videos, is every single moment that you're depriving your fans, your family, your people, your followers from your message and your guidance. So go out there, make that decision to make an impact on the world and have fun doing it. And as you're doing it, you're going to grow and you're not going to look back, because you're going to have so much fun doing it and you're going to be able to help so many other people and make this world a better place. So I'm going to end it with that.
Well, that's fantastic, my friend. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that summary and a little bit of a closing remarks there. And for our viewers out there, please check him out on the web. He has many, many links that were shared in the advertising post for this interview, which is also copied over to the video. And so you can find his YouTube channels, you can find his website and everything like that, all in there. If you have questions for our guests here, if you have questions for Fong, by the way, his last name is pronounced like Chua, like if you're French, like number three, powerful number. If you're French, you can say Fong Chua, en deux trois, I was told. So thank you so much, and have a great day, folks, and take good care of yourself and take good care of one another. Until we meet again, have a wonderful day. We'll do our cheer in the green room there, my friend.